Corporate actions, key dates that are there in corporate actions. Let's learn more. I'm a learning partner, Sushila Hariharan, and if you're interested in a career in hedge funds, corporate actions, OTC derivatives, and banking, do subscribe to my YouTube channel where we provide content centric, research focused videos on these topics. Keep learning, keep growing, and of course, stay curious. Corporate actions refers to any event that alters the security structure. What do we mean by security over here? By security, we mean instruments that have been issued by the company, such as equities, bonds, preference shares, or any other kind of instrument that is issued by the company that fundamentally changes or alters the capital structure or alters the way the number of shares have been allotted to the investors. So, a corporate action is a very important event, and it is not every day that a company announces corporate actions. It is an event that happens normally on the announcement of results, that is, the annual audited results of the company, or when there is a mega event like a merger or an acquisition being taken place, or a demerger which requires the shareholders' approval. Corporate actions can be classified as mandatory corporate actions or voluntary corporate actions. As we know, mandatory corporate actions are those wherein the issuer has to announce the corporate action and the investor has no choice but to accept it. On the other hand, voluntary corporate actions are those wherein the issuer announces the corporate action and it is left to the choice of the investor whether they want to accept it or not. What are the important dates of corporate actions? The most important dates in the corporate action, and this is the single most important event if you are in corporate actions processing, either in hedge funds or in investment banking operations. The first date is the announcement date, the second is the record date, the third is the X date, and finally is the payment date. What is the announcement date? The announcement date is the date on which the shareholders, the regulators, and the stock exchanges are informed of the corporate action. That means the board has taken a decision, and the board of directors, if it requires the shareholders' approval, has already taken the approval, and it is informing the shareholders, regulators, and stock exchange about this corporate action on the announcement date. The stock exchanges, since they are notified of it, the custodians also will get notification of the corporate action announcement. The record date. The record date is the date on which the list of shareholders whose names appear on the register will get the corporate actions. That means over here, this is a cut-off date, the date at which there is a deadline, that is, there is a boundary, there is a border, and this means that those shareholders whose names appear at the end of the record date, only those investors will get the corporate actions. This is done by the transfer agent. The transfer agent is appointed by the issuer of the company, and their main responsibility is to keep a updated book of records of investors of the company so that the company is aware about who are the investors in its stocks, bonds, debentures, preference shares, etc., and what is the shareholding of each of these kind of investors. The third date is the X date. The X date, as we know, is the date on which the security is trading on the stock exchange but does not give any entitlement. This date is announced by the stock exchange or the depository. The stock exchange on which the security is traded normally announces the X date. Typically, what happens is when the company is announcing the corporate action, then the stock exchanges also get notification of it. The company mentions in the announcement what is going to be the X date. And finally, the payment date. The payment date is the date on which the investors whose names appear on the record date receive the entitlement. The investor receives the entitlement from the transfer agent of the company. It is the responsibility of the custodian to the investor to inform the investor about the receipt of the corporate action. To summarize, these are the dates timelines. The first is the announcement date, the second is the record date, the third is the X date, and finally the fourth is the payment date. If you're interested in this industry and on topics like this, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and we can learn more.